Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic. Now we've been sent, I want to call it a puzzle, but it's virtually a concept by Shintaro Fushida Hardy, who is a great name in setting extraordinary Sudokus. If you wanted to give yourself a treat, go back and look for the very few times that Shintaro has appeared as a setter on the channel. You can look on our catalogue, which is listed in the description field. And they will be very interesting puzzles. It's an absolute rule. And this one they described to us as being a bit like a miracle puzzle without a global constraint. And I think when we read the rules, we'll see that sounds about right. It's called Jam-Packed Thick Crust Club Sandwich, which sounds very good. Anyway, I will go through the rules in a moment. I don't think they're as complicated as they were to me when I quickly read through them once. So we will see if I'm right about that when I try and explain what I mean. Now, don't forget that you can check out our Patreon site where we have Sudoku hunts on the first every month. Next month is an April Fool one. Do check that out, April the 1st, 4 p.m. our time, that'll be there. And solution videos to previous hunts. We've got crossword and connection videos too, and Simon's difficult solves sometimes that don't go on the main channel. There's also, of course, all of our apps linked under the video, including Sandwich Sudoku, which is clearly very relevant today, and the latest is Fog of War. And you can support SVEN'S Sudoku Pad by buying a copy for a few pence under the video. Or you can get one of our t-shirts or any other of our merchandise at the merch link. Anyway, give that a look at some point, but have a look at this puzzle first, and I'll try and explain the rules. So, jam-packed thick crust club sandwich. Normal Sudoku rules apply, so at least that means 1 to 9 will go in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Outside clues are the absolute difference between the sum of digits between 7 and 8 and the sum of digits between 8 and 9 in their corresponding row or column. And question mark represents a digit between 0 to 9 to be determined by the solver. All sandwiches have at least one filling, i.e. there are no runs of 3 adjacent cells in any row or column containing only the digits 7, 8 and 9. Right, now what I think this means, I don't know why absolute has been applied, because I was going to explain that an absolute number is the positive version of any mathematical number, whether it's positive or negative. But I don't think that actually matters, because what you need to know is that wherever 7, 8 and 9 appear in this column, and I've done about 10 seconds of thinking about this while I've been talking, they must be separated by differences, by a run of digits that in one case sum to the same as the other to get the difference to be 0. So that applies in this 0 column. It doesn't apply in this question mark column, where I suppose you would have, I don't know, as long as the difference between the sum of those digits and that one is a single digit number or a 0, that's fine. I mean, I think that's a fairly clear rule set. It's been wrapped up in a way that I thought it was difficult, but normally in sandwich Sudokus, we're looking at the differences between the numbers sandwiched between 1 and 9. But in this case, the crusts of our club sandwich are 7 and 8 and 9. And in all the rows and columns with 0, they have to be equal fillings. And then we're told by the extra rule that they're not 0 fillings. I mean, interesting. Give it a try. I'm going to start now. Let's get cracking. I don't know what we're going to find. But I think, I've done some of the thinking there already. What I'm saying, what the rule is saying is that 7, 8, 9 are never a run of 3 digits. I think we can say in all the rows and columns with a 0, 7, 8 and 9 never appear next to each other at all. Because then if they did, no, that's wrong. I'm getting that wrong. What I mean is that 8 never appears next to 7 or 9, because if it did, one of the sandwich fillings would be 0, and the other one couldn't be then. Now, the next thing I'm going to allege, the possible fillings in sandwiches. Okay, I'm acknowledging first that there is an extra bit of confusion here. You could, this is just experimentation, but in this top row, you could have 8 and 9 separate with 7 between them. But then the filling between 8 and 9 would add up to, well, let's say 9. And the filling between 7 and 8 would add up to 0. And I think it's going to be very hard to have that situation prevail, except perhaps in this question mark column. So I think what we're learning is that in the 0 rows and columns, I think 8 must come between 7 and 9. You either get 7, a filling, 8, the same filling, 9, or 9, the filling, 8, the same filling, 7. I think it's got to be that. Now, I was also going to observe, in fact, when I began the last couple of sentences, I was going to observe that probably in most cases where we have a 0, the fillings are going to be a single digit in one case and not a single digit in the other. But actually, you could have 2 digits in both cases. Can you ever have 3? No. Well, yeah, you can. Oh, you absolutely can. Oh my gosh, I hadn't even realized you could have 7, 8 and 9. And as long as you could make these fillings equal, 45 minus 24, oh, you can't, because they're going to add up to 21 in total, so they can't be equal to each other. But you could have 7 there, 8 there, and 9 there. And as long as those 3 add up to the same number as those 2, this 0 would be fulfilled. So they don't have to be close to each other. They don't have to involve a single digit filling anywhere. But they do have to involve a filling of some sort. I mean, how helpful is that? Not, is the answer. I do not have a clue how we're going to start this. Obviously, all the action is based around box 1, so I guess we're going to have to start it there. But how? I haven't got a Scooby at the moment. I'm making no apology for doing some general thinking about how a row or column with a 0 can be fulfilled, but it's unfortunately led me to quite a wide panorama of possibilities, which I didn't want. I think we've worked out that in these rows and columns, 8 can never be on the edge of the grid. Actually, well, okay. Yeah, okay, 8. I'm going to now allege 8 can't be in any of, because of the column totals, 8 can't be in any of those positions, because what would appear between 8 and 7 would necessarily not be the same as what would appear between 8 and 9. I think it's got to be the same here. 8 can't appear in those positions. 8 can't appear here for the row for the same reason, and here for the same reason. That is 8. Good Lord. Oh, I mean, there's a discovery. That is extraordinary. I hope you're following what I'm saying. Let me try and explain that again in case you're not. That's so weird. 8 can't be there because wherever 7 and 9 appear, there'd be different differences in the digits between them. You'd have that between 8 and 7 and that between 8 and 9. The same applies if 8 appears here. We're not allowed to have 8 next to 7 or 9 in a row or column with a 0. We've discussed that. So you'd get the same problem. So in any row or column with a 0 in, 8 cannot appear in either of the first 2 or the last 2 places in that row or column. And in these columns, that means 8 can't appear anywhere there. In this row, it means it can't appear anywhere there, and it must go there. Now, only one of these can be an 8, and 8 therefore is in one of these 2 columns in box 7, but they both have a 0 in, so the 8 is going to have to be here. It can't be in the last 2 cells. I mean, it's strange. I mean, what an extraordinary beginning to this puzzle, in my view. This is not what I was expecting to be doing, whatever that was. Also, 8 in this column doesn't appear there or there, and clearly it doesn't appear there. We now know it doesn't appear there because of where we pencil marked 8. That's incredible. So 8 is in one of those cells in column 6. I mean, that's an amazing discovery too, in my opinion. We may be able to do some thinking that says that 8 can't be there either, but I think that's... No, I don't think we can. Maybe that it doesn't appear there. I don't know. I'm also having to bear in mind something that I'm not normally computing with, is that 1 can go in a sandwich filling in this puzzle because the crusts are 7, 8 and 9. Oh, it's a crust. I could colour it red. I don't know how that advances the solve. Now, it was specifically 8 that I was banging on about. It wasn't 7 or 9. In this row, 8 must be in one of those, and it can't be there. So it's in one of those. Oh, it can't be there or there. That's quite interesting. In this row, because of 8 being in the box already, 8 must be in one of those 2. Now, once 8 is there, yes. Oh, yes, these are 7 and 9. Ah, it's so slow to see this. Right, how do I know that? Because this 8 has, I think I said earlier, it has to come between the 7 and the 9 in the row and column. And there's never a 0 difference in these rows or columns because of the extra rule. So there is a difference, and it is a difference of 1 cell in those. Now, in these, there's always a 0. In fact, even there. So there's always a filling. And now we have found a row and a column with a 1-digit filling. The other digit, I was going to say it's going to have to be 2 cells, but I'd forgotten that we can use 1 in a filling now. The fillings are maxed out at a 6. But that's possible. If this was 7, 6, 8, that could be 1, 2, 3, and then a 9. That's irritating, actually. Now, hang on. What about this column where we have had no 7, 8, or 9s in the column yet? We're going to have to pack them in. This can't be 8, because again, it would appear first in the column. Oh, it can't be 8, but it could be 7 or 9. I can't green it. It's not 8, though. This can't be 8, because for 7 or 9 to come before it, it would be there and touching it. That's no good. So 8 in this column is in one of those 2 cells. I want to pencil mark that, but I'm going to confuse myself if I do. No, 8 can't be there for this row, because it can't be in the first 2 or the last 2. So 8 is definitely there. So that's 8. Good. Now, this is 7 or 9 in this column now. For the same sort of reason, we had to have a gap and then 7 or 9 up there. So that's a gap. Oh, not sorry. I was only trying to do 1 cell. That's a gap cell. And this has to be 2 cells, otherwise they would repeat. My goodness, I'm getting going. This is unbelievable. So that's 7 or 9. And that digit equals the sum of those 2. That has to be a gap because it can't be a 1 cell repeat. And that one too. Oh, but I can't rule out 7 or 9 being there. Now, in this column, we have the same thing. 8 is in one of those two, so 8 can't be here by this row, so that's definitely 8. And now, again, we have a 1-cell filling, so we must have at least a 2-cell filling beneath it. The last red in this column, yeah, it could be there. It's in one of those 2 cells, but those are all green. Good thing I was doing the colouring, because now I know this is red. 7 or 9. Then we have green here in another row with an 8. I'm very tempted to believe this is going to be, oh, that's not going to be 8 by Sudoku now. I think it's going to be there. In fact, in this row, it's in one of those 2 cells. And then it's followed, wherever it is, by at least 1 green cell and then 1 red cell. So one of those is red 7 or 9. One of those is red 8. That's green. I'm going to have to, at some stage, grapple with the question mark column, but I'm getting closer to it already than I thought I would after 11 minutes when I started considering this puzzle. This is just weird how you can do something with just this information. It is a little bit miraculous, there's no doubt at all. So, that equals those 2. That equals those 2. And 6 is the biggest possible digits in those cases. So these can't add up to more than 12. That's quite interesting. They have to add up to at least 10. So these digits have to add up to at least 10 between them. That's weird. So they don't include a 6 or a... Oh, no, they might. No, they don't. Because each pair of these has to add up to that. They can't include a 6. So the 6 in the column is in one of those. I don't think it can be here, or you couldn't get a number there. So that's the 6. Oh, wow, in the box. And these 2 or 3 will add up to that 6. I'm absolutely sure these are both going to be 6s now, but I have not proved that. If these were 1, 2, 3, 4, they could both be 5s. Well, these add up to 10, 11 or 12. They must include 1 and 2. This digit is 3, 4 or 5. Who thought? Who guessed we'd be looking at an S tetromino at some point? So bizarre. Everything about this puzzle is absolutely extraordinary. That's going to be, I reckon these are both going to be 6s. I'm just looking at them and going, that's a beautiful pattern of 6s in the column, just by Sudoku, so it's very likely. And then that would have to be a 3. Oh, that would be really interesting, actually. This would be a 2-1 pair. Oh, I hope it is that, but I don't know yet. I just don't think I can quite progress any further on that theory. That's annoying. Now, in one of these 2 cells in box 1 is not a 6. They can't both be 6s. Knowledge bomb. So the one that isn't a 6 is going to be a 5 or a 4. Or a 3, actually, because it's adding at least 2 cells in its row or column. And those 2 cells are going to be selected from 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that interesting? Maybe it's not interesting at all. This cell is going to be, whether that's 3, 4 or 5, this is going to be 1 or 2. Because we're looking for a sandwich of 6 here in our second bit of our club sandwich. Oh, I'm running out of room and I'm running out of useful clues in a way. Well, the last red in this row is not going to be this far away where it would create a 4-cell sandwich piece. So they're green. That was thrilling, wasn't it? I expect it's the same. No, it's not the same in this row at all. No, in fact, we've got 2 reds to come, and the last one must leave room for at least sandwich fillings of 2 and 1, so it's got to be over this side. Then the 8 is therefore in one of these 3 cells, and it's not there because 8 in this column is in one of those 2. So there's an 8 in one of those 2 cells. Now it is time to finally grapple with the question mark. Can this digit be an 8? I'm inclined to think it can't, but I have not worked that out. If this was an 8, the 7 or the 9 would come first. The difference between the 2 sandwich fillings would be potentially the 7 itself. I'm just speculating here. If this went 8, 7, something 9, the sandwich fillings would be 0, oh no, and 9. That would allow this to exist. But literally, only in this setup, I mean, you could replace the 7 and the 9, you could swap them around, but you couldn't have an extra green cell, because then that's going to make this difference that I'm talking about. If you tried to push this 7 or 9 down to there, you've got at least a 2 and a 1 in between, and the second sandwich filling is at least 10. So, I mean, that's pretty complex, but it's definitely true. And that means this can't be an 8 because this cannot afford to be 7 or 9. Oh no, this row is not a row with a clue. So I'm not right. This could be 7 or 9. So that is the only way this can be an 8, is if that is 7 or 9, this is 1 or 2, and that is 7 or 9. Oh, bother. Oh, hang on. The rule was that all sandwiches have at least 1 filling. So there are never a run of 3 adjacent digits in any row or column, not just the rows or columns with clues in, containing 7, 8, 9. Well, I didn't know that. It probably doesn't affect my solve, but it's interesting that I hadn't quite understood that rule before. It might matter at some point. It doesn't matter to what I've been thinking about here. Which is annoying, because I wanted to pin the 8 into this cell. I wanted to say, if that's an 8, this is 7 or 9, that's the 1 cell filling. Then there would be a 3 cell filling, which would have to be 1, 2, 3. That would be 6. Oh, I mean, you could do a lot if you could pin 8 here. 8, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 9. That would be a 4, 5 pair. This would become 6. That would have to be a 3. Okay, well, that breaks. That's how it breaks. I mean, that's quite complicated, but look at that. If 8 was here, you'd need a filling here, which would have to be 6, because you've got to match a 3 cell filling here, which would be 1, 2, 3, and remember that. Then what you'd end up with is a 4, 5 pair here. That would be 6. This filling would have to be 3, matched by a 1, 2 there, but we were talking about 1, 2, 3 here, so that doesn't work. So this can't be 8. So my goodness, this cell is 8. And we have this 9 or 8 sandwich filling in. This is 7 or 9. And this is 7 or 9, because that's the only case that we worked out was possible. These are all green, not 7, 8, or 9. These are both green. That is 1 or 2. And that is, in fact, the 7. That is how we're going to disambiguate 7 and 9 entirely in this puzzle. Otherwise, I don't think it could be done. Oh, that's beautiful. I could have worked out that by uniqueness, you could never disambiguate 7 or 9 unless 7 was in an internal sandwich somewhere. And that's how it's done, with a single question mark. Shintaro, take a bow. That is an extraordinary discovery that you've had to use there. Fantastic. Oh, I'm blown away. I'm blown away by the cleverness of that. Right. This, I was going to say this is not a 3-cell sandwich, which would be incredibly helpful if I could say that. But I was going to say it because this would have to be 1, 2, 3. Well, I can't say it. That would be 6. I think that's possible. In fact, it would be incredibly helpful either if this was known to be a 3-cell sandwich or known not to be a 3-cell sandwich. Either of them would give me stuff to do. If it was known not to be a 3-cell sandwich, that would be a 9. This would be a 7. There'd be a 9 here. You could fill in all the 7s and 9s. Maybe that's not a huge advance, but I mean, obvious. Oh, maybe I can do that anyway. Sorry, 9 there, 7 there, 9 here. One of these is a 7. Red one, that's a 9, that's a 7. Ah, well look, that's a 7 now by Sudoku. So that is green. So now we do know that it is a 3-cell sum, and that's 1, 2, 3, and that's a 6. And this is not a 6, which I was expecting it would be a 6. This is also not a 6. These suddenly now both have to be 5s, because these have to add up to the total of them. And they're at least 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's gorgeous. Again, not what Mark was expecting. Look at that. We get to fill in these digits now. This puzzle is blowing me away, piece by little piece. Now, look at this row. We're away again. 6 is the maximum. Ah. No, we're not away again. I was going to fill in 8 there and 9 there and 1 here and 6 there. And that's illegal. This can't be a 1. So the sandwiches in this row do not finally involve a 1-cell sandwich as they have done everywhere else. And I don't know if this is red. It doesn't have to be red. Yes, it does. Yes, it does, because if all of those were green, that's beautiful. The other sandwich would be only 2 cells big at a max, and it would have to be at least 2 cells to match this. But then you'd have that same problem I was describing earlier, where if you put 7, 8, 9 in the row, the 2 sandwiches can't have the same total because the row always adds up to an odd number. You know the secret, don't you? It's 45. Of course you do. But anyway, that means that's red, which is extraordinary. And it's 8. In a row with a 0, we have 8 in between 7 and 9. We've learnt that. Slightly the hard way, but we've learnt it. Now, this is a 9. One of these two is a 7. One of these two is an 8. Now, one of these two is a 7, which is that is challenging for this column. 7 can't be there because it would be next to the 8, either above or below. That won't work. So 7 is here in column 4, which is not interesting, but it does put 7. It is interesting. It puts 7 in one of those positions. 8 is above it, and 9 must be above the 8, and now must be here. And I don't think this can be 7. It could be. You could have a 3-cell sandwich and a 2-cell sandwich. Okay. Okay, wind your neck in, Mark. Right, these are from 4, 5, 6. That can't be 5. This has to be the sum of these 2 or 3. But now that can't be... That's at least 4. This is the sum. We can't get 2 cells in here or they'd add up to 7. So that's a 1 or a 2. This is red. That's not. 8 in this. Oh, I just don't know. It goes somewhere. That is 9, isn't it? Ah, it's brilliant. I love this. This puzzle is absolutely exceptional. I keep looking at columns without clues and going, how can that work? How can it be? But it can. It can just be. Now, 2, 3, 4. They don't have rules, basically. Or they do have that last rule. They can't have a 7, 8, 9 triple, but I'm not planning. I mean, maybe I could use that to put an 8 not here, but if I need to use it, I will, because I'm confident it is a rule. Now, I know that these two add up to 5, because I know that these two add up to 5. And in this box, these two have to include a 1. So they're a 1, 4 pair. That's a 2, 3 pair. And what's going on in this row? If that was a 5, that would be a 4-1 pair, and that would be broken. So we've got a 6 there. Get to fill in the whole of that sandwich. That becomes a 2-3 pair. That becomes a 1-4 pair. These sandwiches are all working. That's a 2-3-6 triple. This is 4 in the corner. Getting loads of digits done. So exciting. So exciting. Now, I've still got rows where, oh, that's a 4-5 pair. That's 2 or 3 in the corner. We are going to get a 3 in the corner somewhere. Now, this is basically done. I don't know whether the question mark is 8 or 9. That's going to be revealed when we find out what this digit is. So we've got rows 6 and 8 still to work out. And we've got column 6 to work out. Now, in row 8, we know that those are adding up to at least 7. And the sandwich filling digits can only go up to 6. So we know that's green. Which I also know because I've sketched out cells where 9, 8 and 7 can't be seen. Or are seen and therefore can't appear, is what I mean. Now, this can't, can that be a single cell? That could only be a single cell sandwich filling with an 8 here. If that was 3 and this was a 2-1 pair, and then 7 would be that. But annoyingly, that is possible. Now, okay, I'm going to think about if 7 was here. 8 can never be here now, because there would be a 3-cell sandwich which would have to be 1, 2, 3, and that would break that cell. So that is not 8. That is green. Sorry about the ping. Let's get rid of the next one. Oh, silly phone. There we go. Right, that is 8 now in the row. That's good. That's good for the column. It's amazing for the column. It's not amazing, but it's good. These 3 have to add up to the sandwich total. Yeah, they can't. Yeah, this can't be 7 anymore because it would be a 0 sandwich. Oh, that's quite interesting. So this time we've got a 3-cell matching a 2-cell. We know what they add up to because we can deduct 24 from the total of the column, which is 45. That leaves 21. Then we deduct 5, the outie, and that leaves 16. And that means each of these sets adds up to 8. And the 6 in those is going to have to go with a 2 down there, and the upper ones are going to be 1, 3, 4. That's nice. Right. 7, 4, 5, 1, 9. These are from 2, 3, 6, 8. In this column, I've done that column. I've done this column now. Now I've still got to do this row. And these digits, they're under pressure for lowness, aren't they? In fact, this one sees 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's not under pressure for lowness. But for this to be low and this to be a single cell, it's very possible. There's no problem. Bother. So we've still got this row to do, where the sandwich here is 7, 8, or 11. Now, can that be a 3-cell sandwich? You'd have 24 in the crusts. If you had 11 in the sandwich, in the 2 sandwiches, you'd be up to 46. So that is not a 6. That's too much. So you've either got 8 in the 2 sandwiches or 7. If you've got 8 in the 2 sandwiches along with the 24 in the crusts, that's 40, and the outies would add up to 5, and they couldn't be a single cell. They would be a 1-4 pair out here. And you'd have, and that wouldn't work because that would be 5-3, and this would have to be 2-6, and that would break that cell. So 8 is not the crust. 8 is not the filling. 7 is the filling. That's a 6. That's a 2. That must be a 1. This is a 9. And these two are a 3-4 pair, I think. I think and trust that they are. Wow, so that row's done. We've still got this row to do. And hopefully we can go back to Sudoku after that. That's red and is a 9. One of those two is a 7. That's just Sudoku I'm trying to do here now, which is a little bit crazy at this point. This is the only red place for 9 in box 8. So that's green and that's green. I mean, I don't know that the colouring really matters much anymore. It's all about this row and its numbers. Oh no, hang on. 1 is looking there. That's a 2. That's not going to do anything, is it? We've got a 5 to place in one of these cells. Oh, these aren't 2s. This is such a strange puzzle. Oh, 4 is placed in that box. This is a 3-5 pair. That fixes 6 and 3. This is a 5-6-7 triple. This is a 1-2-8 triple. Now, what I want to do is know what these are. Now, let's look up this column. We've got 3, 5, and 6 to go. Now, that might inform this sandwich. It's interesting. If that was a 3, this would be a 2, and that would be a 1. Then the sandwich would be 4, and that would be a single 4 and a 7. That would end up being a 6. If that's not a 3, it's a 6. And then the sandwich is going to require, is going to be at least 7. That's going to require 2 cells this side. And that's going to be a 7. And the sandwich is going to require this to be an even digit, so these outies add up to an odd number, which is 7. Plus 24 is 31, subtract from 45 is 14, it is 7. So if that's a 6, this is a 1. If that's a 3, this is a 1. This is always a 1. That is a strange finding, but beautifully, beautifully helpful. Look at this, it's filling in again. Now we know the sandwich total is 7, and that is green, and not a 7. And our 2 7s are in these cells, where they are definitely red, and this is not red, it's green and not a 7. Beautiful. Okay. So that they are from 2, 3, 4. I think I am, and we're done. No, we're not done. They are 3 and 4 to match the sandwich total. Oh, and our club sandwiches are complete now, I think. Even in this column, we've completed it, and we know that that question mark represents a 9. Now, can we finish off the puzzle? And there is that barrier to it, but I think I have discovered en route what the barrier requires. So I think the rule is very explicit. It says, there are no 3 runs of 3 adjacent cells in any row or column. It doesn't say any sandwich row or column. In any row or column containing only the digits 7, 8, 9. So this can't be the 8, because that would be a 7, 8, 9 triple. This can't be the 8. One of these 2 is an 8. This is not an 8, so one of these 2 is an 8, in fact. Is that applying anywhere else? It still doesn't quite feel like enough information. So I might be missing the point still. Maybe I haven't completed all the sandwiches. I feel I have. I've done those ones, these ones, these ones, these ones, those. This is an amazing puzzle that this setup can work. Absolutely amazing. Not only are those 2 fillings the same, the outies are the same, and that's the same in this row. Anyway, 3, 5 down here, they're done. That's easy and straightforward. But how are we going to finish these final 3 columns without any more sandwich clues to help? I feel this is still going to be tricky. Even confining 8s to those cells and those cells, have I still got red threesomes to avoid. I don't think I have. I've done it. I've done all of that rule allowed. Oh, I've got a 3 there. Ah, sorry, I missed this. Now this is a 2-6 pair. This is 1 5 8, and that one can't be a 1. I can't sort these out, so maybe I can do this final row, this final column, or this column. I've got a 3-4 pair. Yes, so that sorts out 5 4. That can't be 5. That can't be 3. 1 2 6 8 as a horrible quad. But that 4 looks down here, gets me 3 4. That gets me 2, and that's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, proving its position. We can't have a 2 there. These are 3 6 8. That can't be a 3. So 3 is placed in box 1, and in box 3, and in box 6. 3 4 7 9 2. Now we've got that 6 8 pair left. This can't be a 2. 1 5 6 8 are a horrible quad here. 1 2 6 8 are a horrible quad here. Now here, we've got a horrible 2 5 6 8 quad, and I'm calling them horrible because I just don't know how they resolve. How am I meant to know? I've missed something, haven't I? What have I missed here now? All sandwiches have at least 1 filling. Well, they're all going to, wherever I put the 8s remaining. 1 3. Oh, I don't know how to finish this. This is so annoying. I mean, this is utterly pointlessness now. I'm colouring these green. I don't know why. Maybe it'll help me see something that I can't see. How are these going to disambiguate? I feel like I've missed a sandwich, but I just haven't. Oh, no, don't tell me there's a Y-wing or something still remaining. There can't be. It must be focused on this cell, which has 3 candidates, if there is. Okay, so if that was a 2, you'd have 6 here, 8 here. That would be a 1. My goodness, it doesn't work if this is a 2. You'd have 6 here, 8 here. No, sorry, you'd have 6 here, 1 here. You'd get a 6 there. Hang on. Have I got this wrong? I've got this wrong. 2 there would force that to be the 1 in the column. This would be a 5, and that would be a 6. But 2 there would force that to be a 6. They'd both be 6s, and the third one couldn't appear. Incredible. That can't be a 2. It is a Y-wing. That's mad. That's a mad, vicious, horrible way to finish. But it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Look at this. What a puzzle. What an extraordinary work of Sudoku art. And I'll put in the colours before I finish off. There we go. I love that. That's unbelievable. The jam-packed thick crust club sandwich by Shintaro. It's amazing. Ah, blown away. Mind absolutely blown. What a brilliant idea and execution. And it is a bit like a miracle. It really is. The club sandwich miracle. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again tomorrow. Wow. Bye for now.